driving as well. For sports, I play basketball, badminton. According to my wife, I'm an irritating husband. I'm also a mentor at Scalar Academy. So Scalar Academy is basically uh, like an online education platform, especially geared towards data science. You must have seen a lot of ads on YouTube and other portals as well. Right now, my intention to give you this intro was twofold. One is was to let you know who's going to be boring you today. The second was see it's okay that in life that we don't have clear idea of where we want to be, right? So I did not have any inclination towards data science. I didn't even know what data science was when I graduated. In fact, I wanted to do something in finance and economics. So I got into futures first. Then I did my MBA in finance and MDI, and I was good at it. But I realized one thing that I love finance as a subject, but I won't love it as a profession, right? Then, so essentially, what's important is to keep your ears and eyes open for emerging opportunities and to be always be willing to learn, right? To align your skill set to those emerging opportunities. For example, I was basically building credit and fraud models in American Express, and right about 2016 and 17, there was a lot of interest that was emerging in AI and data science, advanced data science, right? So I taught myself theory. I was willing to learn, did some projects, and finally was able to make as a data scientist, right? So it's okay that you don't have a clear-cut idea, but you should be willing to learn and keep your ears and eyes open. But before we get started, can I get a show of hands from you guys? Basically indicating, so let's say if you have any idea on data science and data analytics, and if you've already have some inkling towards making your career in this field, just raise your hand so that I know. Okay. Okay, cool, cool. So a fair bit of people, 17, 20, yeah, probably more people might be doing this. Now, can two or three of you help me know what are your expectations with the session, what you want to know, what you want to learn? Yeah, anything.
So we would like to know how was the journey towards data science, what all profiles there are in the domain of data overall in machine learning and all those stuffs, and what were the hurdles you faced, and like what hurdles you faced in corporate life and that kind of thing.
Okay, okay, okay. Anyone else? Your expectations, what you want to know?
So I would also like to know as to what is the difference between what kind of projects that we do and what kind of work that you get and in the industry. So that kind of experience also, if you could share.
Got it. Okay, cool, cool. Okay, if there's no one else, then we can get started. Right, so how I've structured this session is I'm going to be talking for the first 30-40 minutes. I've not really timed my presentations, and I'll keep last 15-20 minutes for you guys to ask any questions that you might have. Okay, so uh, Manish, right? So career options in data, right? So I've classified it into two categories. One is analytics and reporting, and second is data science, right? Now, if you're working in analytics and reporting, what are the typical questions that you are um, likely to solve, likely to answer when you're working in these kind of roles, right? So just give me a second. Yes. So yeah, for example, what was the revenue? So your leader might ask, what was the revenue of the last month sliced by demography, geography, right? Can you provide me answers to that? So you go, you look at the data and try to figure this out. You try to make charts, tables, and present this analysis, and you derive some insights, right? That hey, so and so that this is the geography that is performing best for us, the revenue is max in this geography. But if you look in terms of growth, this geography or this demography is working really well for us. I think we should double down our impact, our focus on this particular geography, right? Another set of questions, right? How many repeat customers are there? What are their average order values? And so on and so forth. So that would mean you're trying to find out what is the engagement. Are people really liking your product or not? If they're coming back, and if they're coming back, what's the average order value? Is it more than the customer, first-time customers, non-repeat customers, and so on and so forth. Right? Okay. With data science, um, the, the type of question that you're trying to answer are a bit different, right? It's more about predicting, right? Can we forecast? So your leader would ask, can we forecast revenue for the next 1 year for a particular geography, and so on and so forth, so that they can do their planning, budgeting, marketing decisions accordingly, right? So it's more about forward looking, right? Can we identify which customers are more likely to be paying customers, right? So let's say you have Spotify, you are working in Spotify, and they are, and the number of paying customers are 5%, right? But they want to increase that percentage. So they tell you, hey, can we build a model or some decision science technique to identify which customers should we reach out to ask them to pay us to upgrade to a paying customer, right? So that is there. Third, one of the things that you also can do is, so I was working with American Express, and all the banking industry, right, is basically in the business, specifically credit card industry, is in the business of risk management. Right? So they can ask you, hey, can you build a model to differentiate between a defaulter customer and a good customer, so that we can reduce the friction points from a good customer and probably stop a defaulter customer, right, who's going to be defaulting in the next 15, 20 months. By defaulting, I mean who's not going to pay you on your credit card, right? You take a credit card, you make some payments, and if you don't pay us back, you're called as default, right? So can we build a model to differentiate between a good customer and a bad customer, right? So these are the questions that you are trying to answer with these two fields. So in short, analytics and reporting is mostly about explanatory science, right? You understand the portfolio and you identify the opportunity in the strength, right? Which geography is weak? Can we double down on that geography? Which geographies we have strong hold on? Can we create a moat or strengthen our strengths, our good areas in these geographies or not? And what is working, what is not working, and so on and so forth. So you're trying to explain your portfolio. And by doing that, you're trying to support the business decisions, right? So business leaders will lean on you to tell them, right, what are the good things, what how they should plan out their marketing, budgeting, and so on and so forth, right? Then, especially in reporting, you need to create business reports, right, day in, day out. So your sales head need to look at what was the sales in the past 1 month or past 1 week. So he or she comes on Monday and checks his laptop and takes the business report. So that has to be automated. Dashboards needs to be created. This comes in analytics and reporting both, but people who are generally involved in reporting, it's their domain to create these automated dashboards and business reports based on the underlying data. Okay? In data science, you're trying to basically model a discriminative sort of model, as in the differentiating between a good customer and a bad customer, people who are going to pay you, uh, customers who are going to turn into paying customers or might remain a free customer for their entire life, and so on and so forth, or predictive in nature, right? So what's going to be the revenue for the past, for the next 1 year, in terms of credit worthiness, who's going to be a credit worthy customer, who's going to be a defaulter customer, and so on and so forth. And basically, you're trying to support business processes. So data science also involves making recommendation engines, right? If you go into Netflix, um, right? So let's say I am logging Netflix and I have certain inclination towards watching science fiction TV series or movies, right? So as soon as I log in, it will show recommendation based on my past history, what I've searched for and watched, what people like me are searching for, right? So it's supporting business processes, right? So for Netflix, a lot of their revenues come from the fact that they have a really, really good recommendation model. So, and of course, as I've talked about, financial institutions rely on their uh, risk capabilities, right? So, in a way, it supports business processes. And of course, it enhances user experience and growth, right? If your search capabilities are good, if your recommendation capabilities are good, you provide a better user experience. And because of word of mouth, people gonna come back. New customers are gonna come to your portal. Repeat customers are gonna spend more time on your portal, and so on. So now, what do you need to excel in analytics and reporting? What should be your tools expertise to do this kind of job? Right. So in terms of tools, you should know Excel, you should know PowerPoint because you need to create presentation, you need to tell your story through PowerPoint slide to your managers. So that you should know through PowerPoint. Then more specifically to reporting, you should know Power BI and Tableau. These are the tools in which you create dashboards and business reports. Uh, and you have the capability of including a lot of charts. So it's visually appealing and easy to understand those methods. In terms of languages, you need to know SQL in order to pull data from the sources. So SQL is very frequently used, and some bit of Python to do some sort of data wrangling to see what is the mean of this particular population and so on and so forth. Right? Not very extensive, but a working knowledge of Python is demanded. Now, what do you need in data science? Now, data science, you would need, of course, Excel because so let's say you have built a model and everything. You need Excel to store those results, right? What is the performance? What is the accuracy of the model, precision of the model? What are the data amounts that you've used to build the model and validation results and so on and so forth. So you need an Excel to keep a tab and create charts and so on and so forth. Of course, then PowerPoint in every industry, in every profession, you need to have expertise in PowerPoint, and the more senior you become in the hierarchy, right? Uh, a lot of tools get sidetracked, and it's all about storytelling. How do you present your work? So PowerPoint is very, very important, and a good knowledge of Git as well. Not a good knowledge, a working knowledge of Git to get started in this field, right? In terms of languages, it's more demanding in nature. You need to have a very, very good understanding of Python, and let's say if you're doing uh, neural networks, deep learning, AI, you need to have understanding of Keras, PyTorch, TensorFlow, and so on and so forth. Then, in terms of building your feature pipelines, you need to have knowledge of PySpark and SQL. Also, you need to have some interest in mathematics because you will be reading a lot of research papers on how natural language processing is advancing, how decision trees, which is a modeling algorithm in data science, how that works, and so on and so forth. So you need to have some interest in mathematics. And if you have a PhD, right? So there's a lot of demand for people who have done PhD in this area. They get paid a lot and they get directly into some leadership positions. So if you have PhD, that's the cherry on top. Uh, okay. Now, yeah. So someone will ask me like, what are the typical use cases that we solve, right? Some of the work and projects that we get in the industry for these kind of roles. So I'll be talking about two industries here and two of the industries in the subsequent slides in more detail, right? So social media, let's say you're working for Facebook and you are in their intelligence division, which is basically analytics, insights, and reporting. So what are the typical questions you will get asked as an analyst there, right? Your boss can say, oh, hey, Adit, tell me if we are doing good on user engagement or not. Have we shown increase in user engagement? So what are the metrics that you will think of, right? You might think that, hey, average time spent per user might be a good metric. Uh, one of the metrics that I can show is this. Another matrix I can maybe think of is the average number of connections that you're making, right? The more number of friends that you have on Facebook, Meta, uh, it's likely that they're going to be engaged more on Meta and be less inclined towards leaving it. Then your manager can ask, yeah, there's been a lot of celebrity influence uh, in Meta now, right? A lot of travelers, bloggers, film stars are coming, right? So can we have an estimate of these celebrity influence and how is it changing the dynamics that we have on Meta, right? What's the like in terms of views, what are the views that are garnered by the celebrity post and versus a normal person posting, right? So can we have the some sense, like can we have a sense of network effect of these celebrities versus the normal people, right? So these are some of the questions that you can be asked to answer in analytics, right? But for on the other side, data science in Meta, what you will be doing is what to show the customer, right? So let's say I log in to Meta. There are a lot of things that can be showed to me, right? Updates from my friends, then there is news or the celeb posts, the people that I'm following, right? So what to show in what order? That's very, very important. That drives user engagement. Um, how much ads to show, right? So ads make money for Meta, but it is a nuisance for me, right? I don't want to see ads uh, on these websites. The second is what kind of friend suggestions that you make, right? So I might have 100 people in my network. They might each of them might have 100 people in their network. How do I figure out what suggestions should I make so that the connection between these two people happens, right? So more connections, more user engagement, more stuff to show, right? And of course, when you're doing Instagram, all the filters that you're seeing are a produce of data sets, right? Then let's say if you're working for Tesla, right? I had the pleasure of going into ICML conference in San Francisco, and there I met Tesla. So they are doing a lot of Tesla people. So they are doing a lot of good things. So I'll start with data science, right? So obviously they are trying to solve autonomous driving, and I'm talking about 2018, and one of the most important things that they were trying to solve under Andrew Carpathy was so when you look at a human is able to drive only with two eyes and 2 ears. A human doesn't have lidar and eight cameras and 360 view and so on and so forth. So in order to reduce their computational complexity under Andrew Carpathy, they were trying to solve autonomous driving just by using cameras which can rotate about 180 or 270 degrees and just have the driving based on that without any lidar and so on and so. So yeah, data science is being used in solving autonomous driving, fully self-driving. Of course, data scientists help answer how we should spend our marketing dollars in reaching out what customers, right? So that they are more likely to purchase a Tesla car. So how should your marketing dollars be spent? Should it be radio? Should it be social media? Should it be television? Should you show Super Bowl ads and so on? So this is called market mix modeling, right? Then predicting what customers will want and when they will want it, what they will want and when they will want it, and what you want to do about it, right? So customer service, right? So you need to predict how what the customers will want so that I can plan my inventory and man force accordingly, right? And planning in demand, right? So uh, automotive, as you know, is one of the toughest industries to get into because there are a lot of moving parts. There are 10,000 to 15,000 components in a car. So you need to plan a lot based on your demand and uh, with the lead time, right? And you need to order your inventory and your raw material accordingly. So that is very important. And if you come to analytics and reporting, so you need to be answering these kind of questions. What is the magnitude of dependence on key suppliers? Are we too dependent on them? Should we diversify our portfolio of suppliers or not? What is the most profitable sales region, right? Should we double down on them? What was sales growth in last quarter in this particular geography or that geography? And of course, tracking user feedback, the net promoter score, right? Are customers really happy with our products? What are the key pain points they are experiencing, and so on and so forth. Now, uh, let's come to data science and e-commerce. Right? So this is um, a very interesting field. Flipkart, Amazon, Snapdeal have recruit and continue to recruit a lot of data scientists. And some of the fanciest stuff that they do is uh, are these kind of things, right? So as soon as you open your Amazon page and you just type something, right? For example, this is a snapshot that I created, and I was trying to look for books on environments, right? So I typed books on environment, right? So as soon as you type, right, it will start giving you suggestions, right? So autofilling is one of the suggestions. So that is driven by data science. Now, once I get that query in place, I hit the search. Now, what happens is there are a lot of decisions that happens on the back end, right? One is your spelling might not be correct, right? So one data science model runs just to clean your spellings. Second is they need to understand your intent, right? So let's say if I'm typing Apple product. Now, Apple can be an Apple can be an Apple product, right? Now, what are you trying to look is comes under understanding intent, right? So need to understand the intent. One kind of product is the customer asking for books? Is the customer asking for a laptop, and so on and so forth. It sounds easy, but it's a tremendously difficult problem to solve, right? Natural language processing comes very naturally to human beings, but it's equally tremendously difficult for machines, right? Now, once you understand and clean the query, you need to be looking up the relevant items, right? What are the relevant items that you need to be showing to the customers? Are they based? Does do the names should match, right? Let's say if I would have searched Sapiens. Now, Sapiens is a name of the book. Now, only the names matching is important while I'm trying to search and retrieve the search items from my catalog of, let's say, 1 lakh products, or should I show some of the other items which are related to Sapiens or not, right? Other books by the author, and so on and so forth. Right. So how do you search for the relevant items is a big problem to solve. Now, as soon as the decisions are made and the page is populated, the first ribbon is the recommended items, right? So it itself is a separate problem, right? What to show in what rank ordering, right? Is this making sense? Will it create more user engagement or not, right? Then once you've looked up the relevant items, how do you rank them, right? So there are two sections. One is sponsored, and the second is non-sponsored, right? In sponsored items, you need to optimize for your revenue and customer experience, right? So this sponsored items might not make too much sense for me, but it is beneficial for Amazon for the ad revenue, right? So I need to make a trade-off between user experience and the revenue it will get for me as a company. Right? And the second is how do you rank order them to maximize your click-through rate and the buy propensity? So these are some of the questions that you're trying to answer via data science in the e-commerce industry. Let's talk about video streaming, and I touched upon it a bit in the initial part of this presentation, this session. As soon as you log in, right? So there are multiple questions, right? You might not have realized. Now, you would have noticed that they started showing ribbons, right? Ribbons of different genres, what you've seen in the past. Based on that, what is popular in India, what is popular for you, what people very similar to you have been watching on internet. So they do customer profiling and all sorts of things, right? So first is, yes, selection, which genre to show it to you, right? So I'm into science fiction. They would select a lot of science fiction and thrillers in order to show me, right? Once they made the selection of the genre, which order to show those items in that particular genre, that is important. Um, the second is exploration versus exploitation. Now, if I show you all the items from just let's say science fiction, you might get bored after some time, right? So let's say if I'm exploiting your interest to drive up um, uh, engagement, user engagement, but that can lead to fatigue, and I can get bored, and I can switch to Amazon Prime, right? So what is the right balance between exploration and exploitation, right? I should also be giving you some other genres which might be of interest, and you should be happy to explore those genres as well. So it creates a basically new category for us to show you. Right? And then Netflix does a lot of work in content acquisition as well. So they spend a lot of money in acquiring content. And before acquiring content, they have developed very advanced data science models to basically predict whether a movie or a TV series, given its genre, cast, director, script, would be successful for a particular market that they're thinking of acquiring it for, right? So these are the kinds of questions that you would be answering through data science in especially in video streaming platforms, Prime, and so on and so forth. In analytics, of course, you'll be in Netflix. You'll be asking what is the growth of user engagement in past quarter, which genres are doing well, in what geographies, user engagement, and there are various ways in you can answer that particular question. What is the total content consumed by user? Uh, then understanding of the portfolio. What's the percentage of the people that have the most premium subscription? And you can break down your population according to the premium that the customers are having. Right. Now, also population segmentation by geography and percentage of premium users in each geography. For example, US, most higher proportion of the population would have the highest, most premium subscription. In India, that population would be low, right? So they might take a decision. Okay, we need to educate people that this is other benefits if you move to a more premium subscription, and what content is popular amongst the most premium users as well, right? So they increase the number of paying customers. So, and this will aid, of course, a lot in making critical business decisions by the leaders, right? Then coming to what can you do to get started in data science at this juncture of your career, right? One, the most important thing, and I'm talking about data science specifically here for analytics, would be a subset of this, right? So let me talk about data science and can come to analytics as well. So the most important thing is you need to learn Python, right? The better you are in Python, the more it will serve you. Uh, Almost all, uh, if not all, work in data science or research, publishing of new papers is happening on Python. No one uses R, no one uses C, no one uses any other languages, right? So Python, understanding of Python, knowing Python is a must. Then you can get started by doing some of the beginner data science course on various platforms. So my preferred platform is Coursera, and I've listed two of the very good uh, starting courses on Coursera itself. So there's one IBM Data Science Professional Certificate that you can go for. It will give you a good overview of the data science. It will teach you some of the Python stuff, and then of course the machine learning for all. Both are beginner level. And once you have understanding of this, of course, you can choose your direction. You do you want to uh, pursue a course in LSTM, which is a part of neural networks. You want to do CNN and so on and so forth. Then once you're done, once you have some basic understanding in place, I would highly encourage you to participate in some of the Kaggle competitions. So Kaggle is a website which hosts competition, especially for data scientists, right? So for example, one of the problems can be predict which basketball team's gonna win this season, right? And they would have given you data on the average points per game for a particular player, and the similar stats for all the players, the coaches, and the history, right? So in the past season, that worked like this, and so on and so forth, right? So these are some of the competition which are held. Some of them have prize money associated to it and have a deadline associated to it. But I will implore you to to choose a particular competition which is open, right? No money is involved, and they have no deadline, right? And they're beginner level. So two of the competitions which I think can is a good start for you are listed here. And of course, if you get a chance, if you're in third year and or second year, and if you can chance, just apply for a data science role, analytics role in any of the companies. Um, do a summer project with one of the institutions or any company, right? So those are the things that you can do at this juncture of your career. Uh, I have just two slides remaining, and that is mostly Gyan. I couldn't hold myself back from giving you some muft gyan on your career, because I'm coming to my alma mater, right? So and I feel there's a strong connection to alma mater, especially for BHU guys. So these are some of the career hacks which I think is very important, and the 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 sooner that you learn about these hacks and try to practice them, it's gonna do wonders for your career. So uh, and so one of the most important thing is, right, so initially 2-3 years of your career should be devoted in finding out what you want to do, right? And this decision can be a lot of can be based on a lot of criteria, depending on how what kind of individual you are, what kind of responsibilities do you have, right? uh, one of the strategies, I want to work where I enjoy the most, right? What I enjoy the most. Second consideration can be, I want to earn money, right? I want to do good for my family. Money is the only goal, or probably uh, uh, self-actualization. So it can be tied to some external goal, right? Or if you want to have a view on the further studies, I think the sooner that you have that you want to pursue further studies, it's better. Your approach should change significantly. If you want to pursue further studies, you need to think about building the profile so that you can apply to some good colleges and so on and so forth, right? So, but invest initially 2-3 years in devoting what you want to do, right? One of the uh, one of the people that I follow is Naval Ravikant, right? He often says, rather than working hard, right, it is more imperative than you know what to work on to create the most leverage and most fulfilling career for yourself, right? So just figure out what you want to do, and it's okay to take initial 2, 3, 4 hours, 4 years of your career life to that, because your career is long. Right? Now, the second is learning should be a habit, right? Just never in your career just think that, hey, I'm senior enough. I don't need to learn a lot of things. I'm earning handsomely, and so on and so forth. I'm I'm gonna be okay, right? I don't need to learn anymore. That is not true, especially in this type of scenarios. Roles are getting changed, new roles are getting created, old roles are getting edged out, right? Old roles are Some of the roles are getting saturated, right? So you need to be agile in terms of your learning capabilities, and you need to be ready to embrace it. So you can take actions at the right time and be able to bend yourself, right? The third thing is learn to lead early, right? So leadership is not about managing people. Leadership is about taking charge, taking initiative, doing your work properly, knowing your subject well, and to be able to present your work with confidence, right? And the leaders will identify you. And there's a lot of conversations on leadership and all. Initially, I used to think that okay, leadership is not important. People are making a lot of hue and cry about leadership. Not everyone can be a leader. Yes, everyone can be a leader. Leader is not about getting on a stage and telling what to do. Leadership is not that. Leadership is not managing people. Leadership is doing your work with integrity and taking charge. The third is, the fourth point is, you should be giving interviews every 2-3 years. Now, I'm not saying you that you should change your job every 2-3 years. If you're satisfied in your role, if you're getting paid decently, and if you can see this growth in that particular company, it's very good. You don't need to change the role just for the companies, just for the sake of it, right? But what's important is you give interviews every 2-3 years for two things. One is you should have the right assessment of your strengths and weaknesses. So, for example, what happens is sometimes if you're working in a company for too long, you sort of get relaxed in terms of growing your arsenal of skills, and you don't know what's going on in the industry, and you just become this embraced in one particular sense. So that is not right. You need to interview just to know where you stand on an industry level. Do you need to upskill yourself? What are your weaknesses and strengths, and so on and so forth, right? The second is, of course, get a right estimator from market value. I've seen so many people who are very talented, know their work in and out. They're technically superb, and their company is not paying them, right? So in a way, many companies penalize loyalty, right? So if you are in the right assessment and the right estimate of your market value, you won't be exploited by your employer, right? So that is very, very, and it doesn't matter which field you're in. You need to have a right estimate of your market value. Um, and there's some life hacks, right? I'll be very quick about it. Compounding is the greatest force in the world. Start investing early as soon as you graduate. Put out some money to invest. Build good habits earlier. The benefit you will see over time will surprise you. Suppose if you pick a good habit early in your career, in 10 years you'll be at a very different place than the rest of your peers. So having good habits and early compounding effect will be very good. Now routine is very important to you. Of course, when you were in college, you sleep at any odd time, you wake up at any odd time. But yeah, once you start coming into your career, at some point in time, you need to be looking out for a routine. Routine is important for your mental psyche, not just for social compliance, but it's good for your mental happiness. And there are numerous books that talk about this. So routine is very important for happiness and success. Right? Leverage your positive efforts whenever you're possible. Now, by leverage, I mean have some people who can work for you or apply capital or work in a small company where whatever you do can have extraordinary effort, or work in a big company or in a in a in a very good projects, impactful projects, uh, to have the maximum effect of what you're working on. And remember, leverage is also a double-edged sword, so be careful too. If you're working in a big, impactful project, if it doesn't go well, of course, you'll be under fire for that. Love what you do, right? People say do what you love, but love what you do is very important. Be whatever you're doing, right? There's always a chance that you can change your field, but whenever you're doing it and showing it to your leaders, just love what you're doing, put your heart and soul into it, and people will recognize you build relationship, and that relationships will reward you at some point of time. Understand life and career is a marathon, not a sprint. Take out time to enjoy, relax, rejuvenate. Don't worry if the other person is more successful to you. Things change in a couple in 3-4 years, so it's okay. Just put on in your hard work, but just understand that everyone is going at a different pace, and it matters at the end. It's a marathon. I need to keep myself safe. Reading is very important. It refines your personality, broadens your horizon, it opens more doors than you realize. The seventh is pursue hobbies. If you don't have them, then find some. It'll keep you engaged, it'll keep you happy, and it'll build connections again. And be cognizant of your body, right? It's the only thing that you'll stay in forever. A fit body is a sound mind, is environment. Okay. Uh, okay. Thank you. That was from my side. I'll give this time to you to ask some questions.
Okay, so if anyone from the audience is having questions, they can unmute themselves and ask.
Yeah, sure, Mike. You're echoing.
Yeah, hi, am I audible?
Yeah, Jim.
Yes, yeah.
Uh, yes, so I had a question like as a fresher in data science, like I am having an option between joining a big MNC or maybe a Series C funded startup or a startup that is bootstrapped, but it have really less people, so I'll be able to get more exposure. What do you think would be a good start? Because like personally, I'm inclined to joining a startup, but I worry that if it doesn't work, nobody's gonna remember the name down the line. So would it impact my resume?
Jet, it there's no easy answer to it, right? So you might know of your alumni from my batch who is joined a startup and they've done really wonderful for themselves. You need to be asking this sort of question, right? The startup that you're joining, will you be gaining technical expertise in whatever field that you're joining for in that startup or not? Right? Let's say that the startup, the opportunity that you're getting is in data science. Ask yourself or ask the people who are working in the startup who are trying to recruit you, what kind of role that you're getting into and what kind of problems that you will be asked to solve. Okay. Reach out to the people in that company, in your team, right, in that CVC funded startup, what kind of question they're trying to solve, what kind of projects they're working on. Even the startup phase, right? It doesn't matter that the startup was a failure. What needs to matter is you gain the technical expertise out of it. Like, that's what matters. Startup failure doesn't have to do anything on your resume. Your resume should speak of your technical strengths. Okay, so I'm not gonna tell you that join a big company or a small company, but you need to have an evaluation of what technical expertise you're gonna gain out of these two companies, right? While making the decision.
Yeah, thanks
Does
for
it
that.
answer?
Yeah, I had a follow-up question, but
Yeah, go
I,
on. Go on, go on.
okay. So, like, I have interned for 6 months in a like mid-sized company, but I felt that the growth and the learning there is it's like drastically slower than what it is in a startup. So that was a concern. Like the growth is almost negligible.
No, yeah, so sometimes what happens is in big companies you might be super specialized into a one particular role, but in a startup you can get exposure to multiple different things. But at the same time, let's say if there are a lot of people with technical expertise in that startup, you won't be having that guidance as to how that goes. Right? For example, data analysis, right, which is an integral part of data science. If there's no one experienced enough to guide you on that particular path and how to be good about data analysis, you won't get that exposure in a small company. But yeah, you might get. But if certain people are there who are able and willing to guide you, you will be becoming good in that, and of course, exposure to more problems and projects is a plus for data for a startup. Perks of it's an incredibly difficult question, right? I'm at this stage also. I also have some opportunities, but yeah, it's difficult to answer, right? Uh, that question.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. I will give a thought to it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, how important is data structures and algorithms while preparing for interns or job roles in the data industry?
Uh, are you talking about getting into a beginner level position?
Yes, sir, for entering into the data industry.
Uh, See, a working knowledge of Python is very interesting. Even if you don't have very advanced knowledge of data structures and algorithm, that's okay. But you need to be good in Python as to if given a data, you're able to dissect the data and answer my question, what does it mean of this particular population? Can you make two data sets by splitting the data into by splitting the data based on this criteria? Can you tell me the standard deviation of this particular feature? Explain these variables, make a chart, right? So these, if you're hands-on Python, if you've got knowledge of Python, I think that should be sufficient uh, getting into a data science role.
Thanks.
So I had this question, like when we prepare for data science roles and we come across various algorithms in machine learning. So how important it is to go through the mathematics of that algorithm versus implementing that algorithm. So we should focus on implementing ML algorithms, or we should work on learning mathematics behind it.
So Manish, great question. You should go into the mathematics of the algorithm because implementation is now very easy. If you look at most of the algorithm, it's a matter of just importing that particular module and using it on your data. So implementation is not a problem in data science right now. Good data scientists know how to use that algorithm. Right? So in order to know that algorithm, you need to understand the mathematics. For example, in addition trees, what's the criteria of making a addition tree, right? On what basis a left population is divided into two segments, right? How do you in terms of neural networks, what is backpropagation, right? How do you update the weights in a particular neural network? How does the algorithm of LSTM works, right? What's the maths behind convolutional neural network? So those kind of questions are really important to know and understand. Implementation is the easy part. That's already been modularized by the community.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, sir. I'm a first year, right? And I want to start my career as a data science, a data scientist. So I want to ask that we should first start to learn with tools like Excel, Power BI, Tableau, or first we should start learning with Python.
Python, Python. I think all of you guys from BHU uh, should aim for data science. Data analytics can be thought of as a subset of data science. Right? If you know, if you're a good data scientist, you can do analytics any day. Right? So focus on getting the Python right. Excel exposure you can get later on. That's not a very difficult thing to do. But Python, and then you have, if you have a lot of time, then get your journey started in doing data courses, data science courses on Coursera, which I've listed. And of course, if you're very interested and still have time, participate in Kaggle competitions. And yes, you would have opportunity of doing internship, right, in second year. So look out for those kind of opportunities. That would be a really, really uh, good thing on your resume.
So how do you go about selecting the perfect model for your use case? Can you give us some insights on model selection?
Uh, Pragat, so it comes with experience, right? So uh, model algorithm selection is based on data, right? So if you're working on structured data, by structured data, I mean if your data is in tabular form, there are clear features, right? Age of the customer, income of the customer, and so on and so forth. It is a very most of the people use decision trees, right? So decision trees perform best when the data is structured. If the data is unstructured, right? For example, voices, text data, uh, image data, you choose algorithm appropriately. Yeah? So if the data is uh, in time series format, you use LSTM, you use CNN. If the data is spatial in nature, which is pictures, right? You use CNN and so on and so forth. So it basically depends on the data that you're working for and the evaluation that you're trying to achieve, right? Is it based on precision, recall? So those are the things that you need to focus on while making the modeling choice.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, sure.
So could you please talk more about the selection process, especially on the resume and the interview stuff, like what they are exactly looking for in a candidate?
So, okay, so let's say if someone is recruiting out of college, they would be looking for two things. One is interest in data science. Now, how would you show interest in data sciences? Through the relevant courses, like learning Python, and then writing on your resume that you know Python, doing internships in data science companies, right, in data science roles, uh, pursuing some courses. So basically, right, if you talk about basically this, right? So if you have some of these elements on your resume, it will get your resume shortlisted, and then it will give a talking point. It will show your interest and give you a talking point to discuss this. And before and one of the interview rounds would be a coding round. And if you're applying for data scientist role, it would be based on Python. So they will give you a data set, ask you to do some exploratory data analysis based on that data set, and Python will come handy in.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
So I would like
Yes.
to ask this. There's this recent. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So I'm from a non-IT branch, and I've been recently placed in a very small company as a sort of an ML engineer. So what I'm asking is, should I focus on the job only, or should I also aim for getting a master's degree in computer science or something?
So what are your aspirations? Do you want to be a machine learning engineer or do you want to get into data science? It depends on that.
Uh, like I have been interested in data science. And
Oh, yeah, so see, having a degree in advanced degree helps, right? Especially if it's in computer science. You can also look for advanced degree in data science courses as well. So many campuses in the world have started offering these degrees. So you can look for those as well, not just computer science, but these courses specifically, right? They will teach you concepts on computer science and so on and so forth. But
okay,
what I'm
advanced.
and these are online courses, right? So you can do them while pursuing your job as well.
Okay,
But uh, if you think about it, the best way is to get into a data science role if you're really looking for that. And once you get into data science course, then obviously in parallel you can continue with these courses as well. Right? So get into the data science role as fast as possible if that's what where you want to be.
okay, thank you, sir.
So, how can we draw a line or connect between the roles of a product manager and a data scientist?
Ishika, I didn't get your question fully, right? Can you repeat?
Yes, sir. So, how can we connect the roles of product manager and a data scientist? Like how they go with each other?
So, product manager or program manager usually, so product manager, what they do is so they take care after a product, right? For example, um, let's say if you're working in Zomato and your product is the checkout page. Now, you will be an owner of that particular page as a product. You will be working with different engineers on that. You would be working with the ML engineer. You will be working with the rest of the engineering team. You will be working with data science team as well as your business leadership team. So you will frame questions that, hey, for my checkout page, I also want recommendations. So people who have bought, let's say, milk, I want to show them related things. With milk, it goes breads, eggs, chicken, and so on and so forth. So I want to be able to do that. Now you go to a data scientist and say, build with this model. Once they build you this model, you engage the ML engineers to put that model in production. Right? You engage with the senior leadership on, hey, this is how the matrix from data science team models is looking. I think we should put it into production. This would mean more revenue for us, right? So that is the role of product owners, which works in conjunction of various other teams to make that product successful. And of course, the data scientists can be working with different product owners on a variety of problems.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other question, guys?
Sir, I want to ask that does the role of a project manager and a data scientist can be combined in any way?
Um, no, and so it can be. It is not usually combined, but if you're talking about a very small startup, then probably yes. But no one in a big company would combine these two roles.
Okay, sir.
You can transition from being a data scientist to being a program manager, project manager, product manager later on, but combination doesn't work. Yeah,
I
Jay.
have
So
I have
what
another question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
what are the things we can do in parallel to a data science job to further enhance our data science skills? Some things that I'm thinking of is just trying to implement all the algorithms from scratch, or maybe doing some Kaggle. But is there any thing that you recommend?
Yes, Kaggle is a very good uh, uh, is a very good source to keep upskilling yourself. There are a lot of data sets which are available there, so you can download those data sets and apply various algorithms on that. Uh, Read the second is read a lot of research papers. So there are immense research which is happening on decision trees. Understand decision trees because they are widely used in data science. Uh, a lot of data that we have is structured data. Then understand and read research papers on LSTMs, read research papers on convolutional neural networks, autoencoders, dense neural networks, uh, generative adversarial networks. So to keep reading a lot of research papers to upskill yourself, because that's where the industry is heading, and a lot of money is to be made if you're actually working in solving uh, problems like image classification, sentence classification, and so on. So, yeah, Kaggle and reading a lot of research papers. And of course, if you want to improve your coding skills as well, uh, then there's a website called LeetCode. So LeetCode, where you get a lot of questions on different topics, right? Arrays, hashing, dynamic programming. So you can practice your coding skills there, and the courses, these data science courses, which is actually a prerequisite before you start working on these advanced uh, techniques or algorithms.
Okay. So is there any benefit in trying to implement the renowned algorithms by ourselves?
Yeah, of course. If you implement an algorithm, that means you need to understand the mathematics behind it, right? Uh, but of course, we are all pressed for time. There are so many things that you
Yes.
need to do, right? You need to go through the courses, Kaggle competitions, research papers, and so on and so forth. So I think the time utilization is best that I do my coding skills separately. I understand the algorithm, go through that code, but not spend my time in actually coding that particular implementation because someone has already done it. My job should be a good usage of that particular algorithm, and that usage would require me to understand the mathematics behind it.
Yeah, that answers it. Thanks.
Any last question or couple of questions?
What kind of project that would make a great impact on the resume and make you stand out of the crowd?
Uh, to stand out of the crowd, I think not one project. I think if you can do two, three projects on different techniques, right? So let's say if you start learning about data science, you will understand that a lot of work has been done on decision trees. A lot of work on is done on is done on natural language processing, right? So if you can do two or three projects spanning these domains, right? Decision trees and natural language processing, I think that would be a very good start for you guys.
So lastly, I would like to ask, what is the role of your BTech degree branch in the data science career, or like any specialization in data science in your career? Or should we opt for masters after 2 or 3 years?
No, so no one asks my BTech degree anymore. It really doesn't matter after a few years of experience. And while evaluating, right? So let's say if I'm taking interview of someone who's trying to join Microsoft, I would put my focus on a couple of things. What kind of projects he has done in the past, Right? I will grill them on the technical knowledge on the algorithms that he or she has used in those projects, and the breadth of the knowledge that the person has. Does it does he know about this? Is she able to answer these kind of questions? The pedigree doesn't matter after some time. It really doesn't. What matters is your projects and the good technical expertise that you have on this algorithm.
Okay, thanks.
Okay then. Uh, it was a pleasure talking to you guys, and I will be sharing this deck to the Placecom, so they should be able to make it available to you. And I will be sending my email address also. So if you have any queries, if you want to reach out, I will also include my LinkedIn. So please do feel free to reach out, post any questions. I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Adit, for taking time out of your schedule and share. And this was a very informative session. And thank you guys for joining in as well. So we'll be floating the recording of the session and feedback form together. So we might share what you would be sending us. And thank you. Let's
Okay.
wrap up.
Thank you
Okay.
guys. Bye bye.
Bye.